here, you're looking Caitlin Clark. She's dribbling the ball. She gets it to Aaliyah Boston. She comes in, drives in, Natasha Howard. And this is the big thing. This is the big difference and what people don't realize. And when I talked about it, I've gone mad at Kate and Natasha Howard getting in the way. So if you guys looked at this here, looked at what happens here. Natasha Howard, look at her movement. It is the slight movement, and I've said it all the time. So she runs away from Caitlin Clark and gets into space. If you looked a lot of the time with Natasha Howard, she was
The current evolution of Natasha Howard's playing style represents a significant development that could substantially impact team performance. This transformed version of Howard demonstrates the qualities necessary to become a valuable contributor rather than a detriment to team success. Different iterations of Howard's approach yield drastically different results. The isolation-heavy, ball-dominant version creates problems for team chemistry and offensive flow. However, the running, movement-focused version presents genuine advantages for team success. The key distinction lies in Howard's willingness to prioritize movement over individual offensive creation.
At a time with Natasha Howard, she was tunnel visioned on getting into her spot, not watching the play, not seeing what happens. If this was the last game, she would have gotten to here and stopped Caitlin Clark scoring a layup. But what she did was, she saw her player go to help, she moved a little bit, got into position, easy layup. Easy layup off a dump down from Caitlin Clark. Easy. Running the floor even when Caitlin's not on the floor, she was running the floor. She was running the floor the whole time. And you see this play right here.
Recent game footage reveals critical improvements in Howard's court awareness and positioning. During sequences where Clark handles the ball and distributes to Boston, Howard demonstrates enhanced spatial recognition. Her subtle movements away from congested areas create better spacing and scoring opportunities. This represents a marked departure from previous patterns where Howard would tunnel vision towards specific spots regardless of developing plays. Previous games showed Howard's tendency to impede teammates' scoring chances by occupying poor positions. Instead of reading the play and adjusting accordingly, she would commit to predetermined spots and inadvertently create defensive help for opponents. The recent performance shows Howard recognizing when teammates need assistance and moving appropriately to maintain offensive advantages.
She was running the floor the whole time. And you see this play right here. If you want to look at this play right here, so we're going to be looking at a lot of individual plays. This play right here, Caitlin Clark dribbles the ball down. She's in this position here. And so Caitlin's driving right. Natasha Howard is doing what she's meant to be doing, playing on the weak side. If you listen to any of my complaints of Natasha Howard previously, it is that she has some obsession with refusing to be on the weak side. So you can see here, she's on the weak side. In the last game, Caitlin Clark.
The particularly telling sequence demonstrates Howard's improved weak side positioning. Clark drives toward the basket while Howard maintains proper spacing on the opposite side. When Clark's defender receives help, Howard recognizes the opportunity and cuts toward the basket for an easy scoring chance. This represents textbook off-ball movement and court awareness. The contrast becomes evident when examining Howard's positioning during pick-and-roll situations. Rather than crowding the strong side or interfering with primary actions, Howard now maintains weak side positioning until opportunities develop. This patience and discipline allow teammates to operate effectively while keeping Howard available for secondary scoring chances.
Here, she's on the weak side. In the last game, Caitlin Clark refused the screen from and burned Jordan Canada. And Natasha Howard literally was here and then moved to here and stopped Caitlin Clark. Played help side defense of Caitlin for an open layup. This time, she's standing on the weak side. She's standing on the weak side and waiting for her player to help, and then making the move in, then going in for the basket. That is what Natasha Howard needs to do. That is a positive winning basketball player. And I don't think people realize how important
Howard's improved conditioning and effort level contributes significantly to these positive changes. Her willingness to run the floor consistently creates transition opportunities and maintains offensive pressure. Even when Clark isn't on the court, Howard continues demonstrating the same energy and movement patterns that benefit team performance. The transformation extends beyond individual sequences to overall game impact. Howard's recent performance included 13 first-half points with minimal unassisted baskets. This statistic highlights her improved integration within the team's offensive system. When players receive the majority of their scoring opportunities through team ball movement, it indicates proper role acceptance and execution.
How important movement is. Off-the-ball movement. You look at Natasha Howard right here. Caitlin's there. Sophie Cunningham runs. And she goes out and runs. She's going out there and running. That is the main thing. She is going out there and running. She's playing hard. This is what we need. We need you to play defense and run. That is it. Play defense and run. Stay on the weak side. And with 5 seconds to go in the shot clock, you go get the ball. Then you can go do you.
Effective role definition becomes crucial for Howard's continued success. Her optimal position involves weak side play when Boston operates on the strong side. This positioning prevents defensive confusion while maximizing Howard's scoring opportunities. When other players occupy the floor, Howard can adjust to strong side responsibilities, but the weak side role represents her most effective contribution. The coaching staff's influence appears significant in Howard's development. Extended conversations and film sessions likely contributed to her improved understanding of team concepts. The recognition that Clark's playmaking ability benefits all teammates when players fulfill their roles properly seems to have resonated with Howard's approach.
You can go do you. Because let's be real, there has to be she can be a better Tammy. She is more skillful than Tammy. But let's be real. Her A game is this ISO game. Her A game is this ISO game. Like, they're out here memeing and they're like Stephanie White to Natasha Howard after the game. Just screaming at her, going over tape. And, like, that's the thing. Like, I think they have to have sat down. They had to have sat down and been like, look, Kate. And that's the thing where it's like,
statistical evidence supports the effectiveness of Howard's modified approach. Her scoring efficiency increased when operating within the team framework rather than attempting individual creation. The correlation between assisted baskets and team success reinforces the importance of Howard's role acceptance. Defensive contributions complement Howard's offensive improvements. Her increased activity level and positioning awareness benefit team defense while maintaining the energy necessary for offensive contributions. This two-way impact multiplies Howard's value to overall team performance.
And being like, look, Kate, and that's the thing where it's like, Caitlin will find you. Like Tammy said it best last year, and that's the thing when Tammy found it out early in the year. She just goes, I'm going to get the ball to Caitlin, and as long as I do the work, she will find me. As long as I do the work, she will find me. And that's the big thing. That is the big thing. But, yeah, it is genuinely such an important thing.
The comparison with other successful players reveals important lessons about role adaptation. Players who recognized Clark's distributing abilities early and adjusted their games accordingly found greater success. Howard's recent performance suggests she has reached similar understanding about maximizing opportunities within the team structure. Future sustainability depends on Howard's continued commitment to movement-based play. The temptation to revert to isolation tendencies exists, particularly during difficult moments or when individual statistics become emphasized. Maintaining the current approach requires ongoing discipline and trust in teammates' abilities.
Such an important thing that she goes and becomes an off-the-ball player. That she becomes an off-the-ball player. Because if she can become an off-the-ball player, then we're looking at, okay, she's a positive. If you play with Caitlin Clark, you should not be looking to make moves with the ball in your hand until there's 5 seconds to go on the shot clock. If there's 5 seconds in the shot clock to go on the shot clock, then you can do what you want. But let's be real.
Playing time considerations also factor into Howard's effectiveness. Maximum effort over shorter periods often produces better results than moderate effort over extended minutes. Howard's ability to maintain high-intensity play for appropriate durations could optimize both individual and team performance. The bench depth provides flexibility for maintaining this high-energy approach. Younger players demonstrate similar running abilities and could complement Howard's style when properly developed. This depth allows for strategic substitution patterns that maintain team energy throughout games.
Where players take a little time to kind of tie their shoes if they're out of the play and they know they're not going to get the ball or something like that. But, yeah. Look, honestly, Caitlin was having a bad day shooting, all right? And she's hard on herself. So even I brought it up in the last video where she was kind of like hitting her head. She was just really frustrated. And, you know, she kind of take that frustration to the next play, to the next play, to the next play.
Training and conditioning become increasingly important for sustaining Howard's improved style. The physical demands of consistent movement and defensive effort require ongoing fitness development. Howard's commitment to these physical requirements will determine her long-term success in this role. Team chemistry improvements accompany Howard's individual development. Her willingness to facilitate teammate success rather than competing for individual opportunities creates better on-court relationships. This collaborative approach benefits overall team morale and performance consistency. The recent performance standard establishes expectations for Howard's continued contributions. Maintaining the same level of effort, movement, and role acceptance becomes the baseline for measuring future success. Consistency in these areas will determine whether Howard's transformation represents permanent improvement or temporary adjustment.
Next play, to the next play, to the next play. And it kind of make her, I think, like one time she fell over trying to do more than she needed to be doing because I feel like she's still not at 100%. And she ended up falling over, and Jordan Canada was reaching over her and all that. So, yeah, I think, she don't necessarily forget, have that short-term memory, which I think shooters need to have because shooters shoot, right? Shooters shoot. So, I think a little of that had to do with
Strategic implications extend beyond individual games to playoff preparation and long-term success. Teams that develop multiple players capable of complementing star talents typically achieve greater success in high-pressure situations. Howard's evolution contributes to this strategic depth and versatility. Basketball intelligence demonstrates itself through Howard's improved decision-making and court awareness. Her ability to read developing plays and position herself advantageously indicates enhanced understanding of team concepts. This intellectual growth often proves more valuable than purely physical improvements.
I think a little of that had to do with how she was doing that too. And I can't lie, y'all. NATASHA Howard has been major for the Indiana Fever, all right? Now, I get it. She's had questionable moments with Caitlin Clark. Even the last game, this game right here, she's bringing the ball up. She looks at Caitlin and then just keep bringing it up. Eventually gets it to her, but she brings the ball up, right? That was a moment a lot of people were questioning. And then also she had the Sue Bird interview, right?
The foundation now exists for Howard to build upon these improvements and become a consistently positive contributor. Her recent performance provides a template for success that benefits both individual achievement and team objectives. Continued development along these lines could transform Howard from a liability into a significant asset for championship aspirations. Recent video footage has sparked discussions about the on-court relationship between Caitlin Clark and NATASHA Howard. The viral clip shows a sequence where Howard receives the ball in the post while Clark appears to adjust her footwear, leading to speculation about team chemistry and communication.
Right? The Sue Bird interview, I think she ended up stating, like, she don't necessarily want Caitlin to feel like she has to do it all. She has it all on her shoulder, or she has to play like how she played in Iowa. She actually have a good team, good teammates behind her that has her back. I think a lot of that is playing into what she's doing as well. So I don't necessarily want people to think that NATASHA Howard is just a terrible player for this team. I think it's more so of
During the play in question, Howard receives an entry pass and attempts to score while Clark momentarily steps away from the action. Body language experts and fans have interpreted this moment as evidence of frustration or disconnect between the two players. The timing of Clark's shoe adjustment coinciding with Howard's offensive possession has generated particular attention. Clark's shooting struggles during this period contributed to visible frustration throughout the game. Her tendency to carry disappointment from one possession to the next became apparent through various physical reactions, including self-directed gestures and aggressive play that sometimes resulted in unnecessary contact or falls. This emotional response pattern suggests difficulty maintaining the short-term memory typically required for effective shooting performance.
Terrible player for this team. I think it's more so of she's one of those players that's looked at to score, right? I think Stephanie White has instilled that into her mind that you're one of the scorers. So that's why I was saying I don't think she necessarily need to be in the game with Boston because she gets most of her points right at that nail and closer, right? 11 feet, 10 feet from the rim. That's where she go to work. And Yeah, I think if Boston
Howard's contributions to the Indiana Fever extend beyond individual scoring moments. Her defensive presence has proven valuable against prominent opponents, providing interior protection and rebounding support. Offensively, she operates most effectively within 10-11 feet of the basket, where her post moves and finishing ability create consistent scoring opportunities. Previous interactions between the players have drawn scrutiny, including instances where Howard appeared to hesitate before passing to Clark during transition situations. Additionally, Howard's comments during interviews suggested a desire to reduce Clark's perceived burden of carrying the entire offensive load, emphasizing the team's collective capabilities.
and yeah, I think if Boston is in, it just kind of eliminates her from doing her job. And if we're talking about her defensive efforts, she's done an exceptional job, man. Helping with Fee, helping with Asia Wilson, helping with Brittany Griner. She's done an amazing job, man. So not only has she been doing pretty well with the offense in a certain amount of games, also the defense. So I don't think NATASHA Howard is a terrible player. I don't think NATASHA Howard can't necessarily play on this team. I just think the rotation.
The coaching staff's role in defining player responsibilities appears central to understanding these dynamics. Howard has been designated as a primary scoring option, particularly in situations where she receives favorable positioning near the basket. This directive may explain her tendency to seek individual scoring opportunities rather than immediately redistributing the ball. Rotation adjustments could potentially address any chemistry concerns. Howard's skill set complements certain lineups better than others, particularly when paired with players who maximize spacing around her preferred operating areas. Her presence alongside other interior players sometimes creates congestion that limits her effectiveness. Howard's clutch scoring ability has provided crucial baskets during difficult offensive stretches for the team. Her one-on-one capabilities in isolation situations represent a reliable option when other offensive strategies stagnate. Multiple games have featured her scoring contributions during momentum-shifting moments.
Howard can't necessarily play on this team. I just think the rotation might need to be tweaked. That's all I would say. I don't think she needs to go anywhere. She's been major, all right? She had games where she came up big time, helping on the offensive boards, giving second chance buckets, also scoring at times where the Indiana Fever could not figure out how to get a bucket. There's times where she does that. Even in this game right here, I would say she had some really big buckets where, the Fever were trying to catch up, and she had some tough shots going in for the team when the team couldn't figure out.
The defensive impact cannot be overlooked when evaluating Howard's overall value. Her ability to guard multiple positions and provide help defense has strengthened the team's interior presence. This versatility allows for various defensive schemes while maintaining competitive paint protection. Communication between players and coaching staff regarding possession priorities could resolve apparent conflicts. Clear expectations about when to attack individually versus when to facilitate ball movement would benefit both players' comfort levels. Howard's track record suggests she can adapt to different roles when provided specific guidelines.
The Fever were trying to catch up, and she had some tough shots going in for the team when the team couldn't figure out how to actually get a bucket at certain points. So, yeah, I don't think it's too much to worry about. I think at the end of the day, they just need to fix the rotation, tweak the rotation a little bit, and probably just tell Howard, like, hey, we want Caitlin Clark to bring the ball up. And just understand, if we do get you the ball down in the paint, we expect you to go to work if you're on an island. Sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it really takes that. Like, I don't have a problem with her going to work right here, unless they were trying to get to something else.
Clark's shooting rhythm benefits from consistent involvement in offensive flow. Possessions where she receives return passes after initial ball movement often generate higher quality scoring opportunities. Maintaining this connection requires deliberate effort from teammates to recognize her positioning. The isolated nature of certain plays naturally creates one-on-one situations where individual scoring becomes the optimal choice. Howard's success rate in these scenarios justifies aggressive approaches when defensive positioning allows. However, recognizing when to prioritize ball movement requires situational awareness. Fan reactions have varied regarding the significance of these interactions. Some view the footage as evidence of deeper issues, while others interpret it as normal competitive frustration during difficult shooting performances. The intensity of professional basketball often creates moments that appear more significant than their actual impact.